Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right, happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. It is a freedom-loving, fantastic. We're taking America back, one heart, one mind, one issue at a time. Friday, faith-filled Fridays, man. I love them. We need more of them, ladies and gentlemen. We need faith-filled Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays. I guess it should start with Sunday if you want to get technical, right? Anyway, there you have it. Dr. Scott Bradley, freedomsrisingsun.com, with me on Fridays. His collegiate series, To Preserve the Nation, available at freedomsrisingsun.com, is available now. Spread the word. Great collegiate series for homeschool kids all the way up to anybody who needs to know about the Constitution and anybody who has a genuine interest in restoring the Republic. Think To Preserve the Nation. Go to freedomsrisingsun.com for that. You can also check out the weekly Q&As on the Constitution. There are webinars every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Mountain. Check them out. You can go to the website, freedomsrisingsun.com, to get your sign up. Then they'll send you a link and you can join and participate. Otherwise, you can watch it on the back end. Look for Freedom's Call. Check it out on Rumble. And it's everywhere, folks. Spread the word. Show the love. Anywhere it's not, push to get it there, because we need to spread the word on this. I want to start out with this Tulsi Gabbard thing. You guys had a great conversation last night about Tulsi Gabbard. I don't think all things are as they appear, Doctor.
Well, I have to concur with your understatement, Sam. That's what I would place it.
I just thought I'd kick it off with a little barb like that.
No,
kind of fun
really,
to do that, you know?
I think
it's
you're
a truth
right
barb,
on
you know?
This thing. We, Tulsi Gabbard resigned. It's effective June, end of June, I guess, so it's probably 5 weeks away. But she wants to spend time with her husband, diagnosed with a rare form of bone cancer, and that was what her resignation letter said. And Trump gave her a glowing acceptance of her resignation, everything like that. But a lot of us, including myself, considered it only a matter of time and kind of a foregone conclusion. Because I think, based upon her previous statements and some of the more recent statements that are a little bit more veiled, if you will, are principled positions on war, and especially the Iran war. And I think that it was just, I thought it was going to be, but I just didn't know how or when. And she took the opportunity to, take the take the poison pill, I guess, and find her way out.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this, Doctor, is that she was a Democrat, and she jettisoned the Democratic Party. That she has some solid stances. What's interesting is you've got a couple of Democrats that are pretty high profile that we agree with more on some of these topics than we do, say, the Republican camps. Take Bobby Kennedy's one of them, for example, on the healthcare stuff. We agree with a lot of what he has to say, more so than even many of the Republican neocons or hacks or, RINOs or whatever words you want to call for them. And then you got some of these Democrats like Bobby Kennedy, like, Tulsi Gabbard, who I realize that she's, not complete Democrat now. But my whole point is some of these people with unique ideas, and this is where they try to divide us into left and right. And this blows up that paradigm. So I do like that in that sense, Doctor.
Well, exactly, and it's right and wrong, not left and right, what we ought to do. But she did start out as a Democrat. She became an independent. She became a Republican. But the fact
got to return to being an independent again, huh?
Yeah. She's more principled than virtually all of those who continue to sit in Trump's cabinet, sadly. I think she tried to present truth. I think this is just, again, an assumption. I wasn't there. And this is maybe an overstatement. She was shouted down, meaning she was, kind of discounted by the Zionists in the administration. And I think a valuable voice of reason has been silenced. And here's the deal. Not only her, but every single element of her intelligence agencies and all the intelligence agencies of the United States agreed that Iran was not an imminent threat to the United States. And in fact, virtually all international intelligence sources other than the state of Israel.
Yeah, don't make me think too much about this, or we might not end up in the war that I want so badly.
That's exactly right. And I think that the Rubios and the Hegseths of the world, of course, the people outside it, the Mark Levins and the Lindsey Grahams and so on, were beating the war drum so hard, and of course that's exactly where Trump was going because of, I believe, his willingness to listen to, Benjamin Netanyahu over and above anybody that was within his own intelligence agencies. And it's interesting. I think wise leaders surround themselves with respected, principled people that can be trusted to offer counsel that could be contrary to the popular opinion. And
that's the whole point, though. You want people around you that may not agree with you or may look at things uniquely different than you do so that you can get all the bases covered. It doesn't need to be a hostile interaction or a disagreement to melt down. It just needs to be a, you know what, this person brings a valuable viewpoint, whether I take it or agree with it or whatever is beside the point. The fact is it needs to be brought to the table for fair vetting and discussion because, believe it or not, people might actually see something, contemplate something, and then take a different action than they might without it.
No question. In fact, I've got a reference in my book to a letter that George Washington wrote, oddly enough, the 4th of July, 1774. So 2 years before the Declaration, was made. But he wrote this letter to his neighbor. He was a Tory, Brian Fairfax. He pled with him to run for office in Virginia. I mean, he was a, unquestionably a Tory. And Washington said, we need people like you to bring reasoned input into the discussion so we don't overlook something. And people, if you surround yourself, your echo chamber becomes more overwhelming and you're getting more and more of this regenerative feedback until, how it happens when you get real regenerative feedback with a microphone, you get that squeal in your ear. And you can't hear anything else.
Yeah, but you should get that squeal in your ear from time to time, too, because it kind of keeps you honest. It keeps you stable. It keeps you grounded and saying, hey, when is it too loud? When is it not enough? When is it, and it's a barometer that people need to understand. I think of Davy Crockett is a great example of this as well, where, he heard from that farmer, instead of just blowing him off and going, you're just a redneck, nobody, who cares about you? I'm a rock star politician. He went, wait, this guy's got a valid point. You know what? I may have made mistakes in the past, but that doesn't have to be the future. And that's what we hope to have come out of these kind of, I don't want to say disagreements, but yet different views brought to the table and discussions. And, we want honest people to truly consider them in meaningful ways, right? And that's really what we're after here.
We are. And I'm saddened by her. I mean, you know what? Maybe I have different opinions on some things, and maybe Trump does. I'm positive he does, in fact. But the fact of the matter is that he had someone there as a sounding board, I think was a valuable asset. People say, oh, well, the guy's got to have his own team there. Yeah, but if your own team can only, preach the gospel of despair that's going to end up in the destruction of the nation. And I think entering this Iran war, in spite of reasoned analysis, in spite of intelligence feedback, I think that's going to have a very long-term effect, adverse long-term effect on the nation. So,
well, are we getting close to 90 days? I think we are.
Well, yeah, but I mean, some of the stuff that came up later on in the discussion, I don't know if you ever want to do it now too, but we've got a rolling kind of thing that really, and here's what I likened it to last night. We got this 60-day memorandum
arbitrary, bogus, constitutional violating reality. Yes.
Well, memorandum of understanding. MOUSE, Mickey Mouse. I mean, I don't know. You're probably not old enough to remember the Mickey Mouse.
I remember MOU, MIKEY, right?
Yeah, Mickey Mouse. Anyway, yeah, the
MICKEY, MOU. I got it. Took me just a minute to get the cadence,
anyway,
but yeah.
Very little humor on this show, but at any rate, sometimes, anyway. No,
maybe our humor is just not the humor that other people take as humorous, and some of the humor that they have we don't enjoy. But anyway,
right. But
we digress.
A 60-day extension of what could be called, or has been called, a ceasefire. It's not a ceasefire. I mean, there's rockets going back and forth and strikes and everything like that. And we can talk about that right now, but I'll tell you, I mean, do we have a break pretty quick? Because I think that I could take this real extreme.
It's in like 2 minutes, but go ahead and get started.
Okay, here's the deal. 73 years ago in Korea, they had a kind of a memorandum of understanding called a ceasefire.
We got ceasefires going on everywhere while we're firing.
73 years, this has been an uneasy ceasefire. And the way they keep rolling this thing.
I can't hear you shout ceasefire because the bullets are too loud.
Yeah, and on top of that, here's the deal. This ceasefire it's one of those things that not only could unravel, it doesn't give us anything we didn't already have better of.
But not only that, it's not even a ceasefire though. While we're claiming it's a ceasefire, everybody's attacking everybody. We'll talk about it coming up with Dr. Scott Bradley, freedomsrisingsun.com. You're listening to Liberty Roundtable Live.
Being there with your child and being there for your child are two completely different things. One denotes a simple presence, which is a start, but can also be accomplished by someone other than you.
Hey, can you help me with this algebra problem?
See, that sheep did a fine job of being there with the child, but it didn't do a very good job of being there for the child. Now listen to the difference an involved parent can make.
Hey, can you help me with this algebra problem?
I'm not very good at algebra, but do you have any English questions? 'Cause I done real good in English.
Oh, Mom.
Okay, let's take a look.
Okay, so the algebra problem didn't get solved, but something better happened. Mom was there for her child, and when you're really there, they'll know how much you care. From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. For more tips on strengthening your family, visit family.mormon.org.
Are you watching what's happening in our country and asking, what can I do? Join the John Birch Society in Salt Lake City, June 6th, for a powerful one-day conference. The day includes a host of respected speakers, 2 meals, and meaningful connections. You'll gain clarity on the issues and walk away with practical steps you can take to your community. Reserve your seat today at jbs.org/SLC26. That's jbs.org/SLC26.
Dr. Scott Bradley with me, freedomsrisingsun.com. I'm Sam Bushman. We're talking about this incredible, and I think the doctor's confused on this. I mean, he's talking about ceasefires, and he's acting like things aren't perfect. I mean, things are just, it's like the Lego movie. Everything is awesome. It's incredible. And what he doesn't understand is there's just peace breaking out everywhere. I mean, just peace going on. So, Doctor, what do you think of that? I mean, you're just confused, my friend.
Well, I probably am, but the fact of the matter is there's a lot of confusing things happening. I mean, we've been in weeks now in this ceasefire, and it's tentative at best. Israel's operating full force in Lebanon, blowing the snot out of everything there. U.S. launched attacks against Iranian boats. They said they were sowing mines. I mean, Iranian missile batteries have been called, and Iran's made response to these attacks. I mean, yeah, the mines and stuff. I mean, the United States is saying these are defensive. These are defensive attacks. And the mines and the missiles ultimately are a threat. Yeah. But could the presence of the American Navy be an ultimate threat against Iran? No, I'm just saying, if that's a potential reason for shooting at them, and could the Israeli and American missile batteries be considered a threat against Iranians? Yeah. And here's the deal. You can hold your mouth a certain way and say we have every right to defend ourselves, and we launch attacks left and right and everywhere because there's a potential out there for a threat. But the Iranians, if you took it from the perspective of another nation that was under attack, you could say, you know what? All of these existing armaments that are all pointed at us are a threat too. Why don't I shoot back? I think that we're really, really spinning it in a viewpoint that has only one perspective. And so the Lebanon conflict, I mean, that right there, is that ultimately going to be in the ceasefire thing that Trump's kind of looking at this memorandum of understanding?
No. Let me explain. You're making this way too complicated, Doctor. Let me explain what you do just so you understand, because you're trying to actually think through it. You're trying to really talk about a genuine ceasefire. You're talking about being honorable in your commitments or your delivery or your understanding or your, agreements. And okay, you don't do any of that. Here's what you do. You just simply tell everybody there's a ceasefire in the media, and then you do whatever the heck you want to do. Got it? And then if anybody brings up the fact that it isn't, follow through, genuine, do as you say kind of thing, you just literally laugh at them and say, you know what, you're an enemy. You are an absolutely enemy combatant. In fact, you probably should be arrested. We'll let you go this time, but I wouldn't behave like that because it's fake news. You're peddling fake, and you just absolutely belligerently lie and in your face attack anybody that opposes you.
Well, and I'll just give you an example.
Now, how far off am I from what we really see going on?
Well, you're absolutely spot on with the way it's being spun in the Fox Newses of the world. And
it's crazy.
WorldNet dailies and those kinds of things. They're unequivocally, totally, and completely in the camp of war at any cost. But you just brought up a very interesting thing. If anybody crosses Trump, we're going to cross them off the list. And you've seen that happen with people that were generally supportive of the MAGA movement, and now they're crossing them off the list. But 2 days ago in his cabinet meeting, the question was asked about, hey, what about this idea of Oman and Iran kind of jointly managing the Straits of Hormuz? And Trump just blew up on it. He says, we're going to blow up, that was his term, we're going to blow up Oman if they don't behave. And it's like, no, wait, these guys have been, we've considered them friends for decades, and we've worked with them, and we have military exchange things with them, and now we're going to blow them up. Are you kidding me? Put a gate on it, baby. This kind of thing you cannot expect to accomplish anything good if you're going to blow up everybody that doesn't agree exactly with you, and that's the problem with this 60-day memo. I have not seen the exact wording of it. But all the exchanges that I have had on it, I don't think it's going to get, if it gets signed by Trump, it'll be violated, not only by Trump, but the Iranians and the Israelis. And it's one of those things that they can make this rolling memo of understanding that basically continues to an uneasy ceasefire. And like I say, they've been doing it for 73 years in Korea, so maybe it can work. I don't know. But I just don't see progress happening. And the thing is, if anything at this point going to be better than it was 27th of February. The Straits of Hormuz were completely open, unimpeded. There was nuke material in Iran's hands, but they weren't attempting to make a bomb, according to all of our intelligence agencies. The U.S. bases in the Middle East were functioning, that now they're pancaked. Fuel prices were $1.50, $2 lower per gallon. Fertilizer was available and cheaper. Inflation was much lower. Global tensions were more stable and relaxed. Oh, and I saw a report yesterday. I think it came out of Rutgers University. I'm not positive. But anyway, their estimate is that it has cost United States consumers, that's you and me, that's not a government agency, United States consumers have paid over $49 billion more since the beginning of the war for stuff, okay? And there's a really, really high probability the Republicans are going to get humbled in the midterms. And so if Trump wanted a legacy, I don't know, his legacy is kind of, whoa, what's going on, baby? This big...
Well, and that's kind of the problem that I see with this whole thing is that, we're not really genuine in what we're saying. Israel says, they're going to do a ceasefire and they're pushing into Lebanon or whatever. And then the United States is attacking, going, yeah, we got a ceasefire, but they did this and we did that. And look, how do you have a ceasefire when everybody's firing at everybody? It isn't true. And what they act like is it holds even though you violate it. When you violate it, isn't it broken?
And the fact of the matter is that there's constantly here's something we're being worked, my friend. Every time Trump comes out and says peace is ready to break out, the stock market responds to that, and people are making big bucks on this thing, but it's just a crying wolf. There's it's just around the corner, and then nothing happens.
Well, and then last night they had
response.
J.D. Vance out there saying we don't have a deal yet, but we're close. He's standing outside by the plane. The plane's in the background, so you can hardly hear what he has to say. They're really, really, really trying to make J.D. Vance look presidential now.
Well, and that may be true, and there may even be a more, I don't know, eminent kind of thing going on there. I mean, maybe somebody will do the 25th Amendment, or Trump's been in for his health checkups multiple times, and there's strange things happening where he has these outbursts that there isn't a shred of any overture that might look like we can have a handshake and a kiss over this thing, but it just isn't happening. And maybe people are saying, well, JD needs to kind of be more at the forefront, and because, the 25th Amendment may come for a health issue or whatever, some kind of temper tantrum. I don't know. Maybe an impeachment. I don't know. But at the midterms, there's a very real probability based upon some things that are happening in that the Republicans will lose control, absolutely, I believe, of the House. And there's a higher and higher probability they'll lose control of the Senate. And then you get these issues of regular impeachments, because the House is the one that brings impeachment articles. I mean, that doesn't mean somebody's removed from office. All it means is they're bringing charges.
Yeah, and there's a separation between the House and the Senate and what they vote for and what they do, because their roles are different, right?
Exactly. And the Senate then, if they get articles of impeachment brought forward, has the responsibility to try those articles. They become the judge and jury, if you will. And if the president's up for grabs, then John Roberts from the Supreme Court sits as the central guy that runs the show. But the fact is, I mean, the chances of Trump being removed from office based on an impeachment right at this point, unless there's something really strange that happens, is slim and none. I mean, they're not going to get 2/3 of the Senate to go along, because there's enough Republicans there to block it. But I recently reviewed again. Now this is how strange a person I am. But I recently reviewed the Nixon thing, the Watergate and all that back in 1974. And, he resigned in August of 74. He never was impeached, but the Judiciary Committee had suggested the articles of impeachment be voted on and approved by the House, and it was a democratically controlled House. But Nixon didn't want to face that, and he ended up resigning. Now, it's impeachment. It's still a scarecrow, as Jefferson said, but it's becoming more and more commonplace now, and it's going to disrupt everything. If we have to have an impeachment article brought forth every week or every month or whatever in the last 2 years of Trump's administration, it's going to be a huge distraction from stuff that the government ought to be doing, rather than just throwing, mud at each other. It's a disastrous situation, and somebody needs to say, Mr. President, you took an oath of office to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. We need to start weighing every decision, every action you take in that scale. And I don't know, Tulsi Gabbard, going back to the first thing we talked about in this hour, Tulsi Gabbard was a voice that could have said, let's use some reason.
Well, and they also say that J.D. Vance is a lot more hesitant than President Trump on this, and that he wasn't really for the war. He's kind of gone along, and he takes a lot more, in my opinion, humble approach, or whatever you want to call it, to it, less hawkish actions, kind of a thing. And so you need those voices, and if we jettison them, the only people whispering in Trump's ear are the Benjamin Netanyahus of the world. The folks that are flat out hawkish. They want to go to war at the drop of every hat. They want to basically spend us into oblivion. They don't concern themselves with cost or anything else. They're just simply focused on the military-industrial complex, and that's what we got to really worry about. Thanks for being alongside for the ride. Hopefully this was educational and entertaining. We're not trying to attack anybody, but we are trying to use the Constitution as our guide. It is the supreme law of the land, after all. So for Dr. Scott Bradley, freedomsrisingsun.com, I'm Sam Bushman, libertyroundtable.com. Spread the word, share the love, and God save the Republic of the United States of America.
It's worth it when you try.